Proposition 109, authorize bonds for highway projects. The state ballot proposal would require the state to borrow up to $3.5 billion in 2019 to fund up to 66 specific highway projects. It would direct the state to identify a source of funds to repay the borrowed amount without raising taxes or fees, and it would limit the total repayment amount, including principal and interest, to $5.2 billion over 20 years. A yes vote would ensure that the initiative would authorize $3.5 billion in bonds to fund statewide transportation projects, including bridge expansion, construction, maintenance, and repairs, and it would require that the state repay the debt from the general fund without raising taxes. These would be repaid within 20 years using existing state revenue sources. A no vote would ensure that the opposite would happen and that the Colorado state budget would remain the same and the status quo would be maintained. Some background history. In 2016, the Colorado Department of Transportation reported that from 2016 through 2040, it would need $46 billion to cover transportation costs, which included $20 billion in projects to expand transportation infrastructure. The committee reported raising a total of between $295,000 and $411,000 in cash donations and $116,000 in in-kind services. The committee reported expenditures totaling $364,000, including in-kind services. The Independence Institute provided all but $100 of the contributions. CDOT estimated that from 2016 through 2025, it would need $19 billion, with $8.6 billion of that going toward expansion. Major or most high-profile proponents for the measure are the mayor of Colorado Springs and the Independence Institute. They argue that Proposition 109 accelerates the construction of essential highway projects without raising taxes or fees. Building and maintaining a highway system are core functions of government, they say. The state has failed to invest sufficient funds to maintain and expand the highway system. The measure corrects this by directing the state to prioritize highway projects ahead of other programs. And the lack of highway capacity is the most significant contributor to traffic congestion in the state and causes delays, increases business costs, and reduces driver and passenger safety. The measure requires the state to invest more money in transportation, improving the state's economy and quality of life. Major opponents of the measure are the Denver Chamber of Commerce. Proposition 109 commits up to $5.2 billion to repay borrowing without creating a new source of revenue, they argue. This commitment diverts money from other programs, which may include education, healthcare, and routine transportation maintenance. In 2018, the state demonstrated its commitment to transportation funding by pledging $1 billion from existing revenue sources. Under this measure, approximately $1.7 billion in taxpayer money will be spent on interest payments.